And we're back. Game number 3 of this best of 5. What could be the final game of this leadoff best of 5 as Team Tinker now trails Alliance 2-0. It's win or go home at all stages of the tournament. 4 teams, single elimination. So Team Tinker now in a situation where they have to win all 3 of their next games in a row. Otherwise, they are done here in the Game24 tournament powered by NVIDIA. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers, joined by Trout once again for the broadcast. And tell you what, man, Alliance has been looking damn good. The last couple of times these two teams met, Tinker had their number, and Alliance has kind of been up and down. But here today, they've really just seemed dominant, and more so than that, they've just seemed like they made it look easy, if I can use that phrase. It's not obviously that Tinker's a bad team, or even that they've been playing that badly. Their decision-making and the movement on the side of Alliance, so even the drafting has just been truly top-notch.
Yeah, it was really the movement of the supports, in my opinion, like Misery and Key. And I have to give a lot of credit to, or a shout out to Key, because I thought that this was Ake, just on a different name, but apparently, according to you, it's not. I don't exactly know who this is, but it's pretty impressive to actually have a stand and be a support and still make great things happen, because I think support is a role that really is best played on 2 players that know themselves well enough to communicate, and you don't have to say anything and just make fast movements and can execute them properly. So shout out to him for standing in and playing well for Alliance here today. As their movement has been very effective, as we saw in both games, especially last with the movement. They actually missed the first blood, the easy first blood, as a result of Chessie disconnecting, but still made things happen with constant pressure mid, going back bottom, creating pressure onto Koikfa, so he couldn't get that much. He did get an early blink, but that came out of stacks from his own jungle. So I'm glad to see Team Tinkerino going for something different, though, because they've kind of drafted. They had the same exact setup in the last 2 games and just did not work. Like this, not to say that Rays are bad by any means. They're fantastic heroes, but they just weren't. Like I said last game, they just got a little like tunnel visioned into like this kind of strategy in mind where they're pushing and then they have people cut the Batrider coming from behind, but I just think they got completely outdrafted in both games, to be honest. No,
I'm completely agree with you. And we were talking about that in the last game, actually, where it wasn't that they were super far behind at any one point. There wasn't like this point in 15, 20 minutes where you go, oh, well, obviously they're miles behind. Even at the worst at that point, they're down about a K, and they were doing well with towers. Sing Sing was farmed, but then he made the decision to skip mech. Razor was having a tough time, didn't get a mech up either, so they lacked a team fight item. So even though Sing Sing on the Pugna was in pretty damn good shape, and they did have a chance to take some towers, it was just so quick for Alliance to kind of just get together and start to roam and carve that map up. They used smokes very effectively. They had great vision, were always fast to react, and before you knew it, we saw low to, what was it, a 17, 18-minute Midas? Or not even Midas, geez, a Radiance. So, I mean, he had that up so quickly, and even with the Pugna to help deal with that, even with the Pugna ulti, with the Scepter to be able to pop those illusions, it just didn't matter. At that point, Tinker just didn't have the late-game punching power they were going to need to stand up.
Yep, and yeah, that would be funny to see a Naga rushing a Midas. Well, not really rushing, but I just thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, I think it's kind of funny too, because this is the 3rd game in a row now that Team Tinker have Dire. But the last 2 games, I have not seen any abuse of Roshan whatsoever. And I think in this metagame right now, especially, we haven't had a new patch for quite some time. Maybe something will happen with that. But it seems to be that Dire is obviously the side where you want to abuse that Roshan. Look at the teams who I think are the strongest right now, specifically EG. They always draft at least 1 or 2 heroes that can abuse Roshan early. Or not even just early, just all around. And it's such a good fail-safe. It's, oh, we're getting screwed. We're losing our lanes. They start to push. All right, go Roshan. You have some negative armor, you go do it. They kind of have it a little bit right now with Fury on, because that gives them easy access. As they win a fight, they have lanes pushed out, bam, you can just go in and Roshan to start it. No negative armor just yet, but I think that's the key right now for Dire, and I haven't seen Team Tinker do that so far. They pick up a Centaur, which I think is interesting because it's not very good against Void. It's not very good against Puck because you can't run away with your ulti, so interesting stuff here coming out from Team Tinker.
Yeah, the Centaur outside of the Chronosphere is going to be dealing with 3 big-time silences, and this goes for everyone on that side. But Centaur in particular, very spam-heavy kind of a hero you want to just run amok and be a liability, running around fights with Stomp and with Double Edge. But yeah, now he's got Skywrath Mage to deal with the Sigil, he's got Doom, obviously, and then Puck with Waning Rift. It's going to be real tough for him to be able to really be active in these fights if he's caught up in any of that at all. And that's kind of the impression I get from both these lineups right now is Tinker has a great lineup in theory. You know, Mirana Arrow, obviously, Sing's phenomenal at Mirana. Bane, great setup for the Mirana as well. But whenever you compare like their team fight abilities to what Alliance has going right now, what do you have? You have Nature's Prophet with Sprout. Okay, Arrow, it's either on or it's off. There's no middle ground. There's no reliability to it unless you go way out of your way to set it up with a Nightmare from Bane. But then Bane just has Nightmare, just has Fiend's Grip, and maybe a little burst with the Brain Sap. But so it's kind of like these very narrow, very rigid sort of abilities in terms of how you have to approach team fights. Whereas on the side of Alliance, they've just got AoE out the wazoo, man. They've got Faceless Void and Skywrath, very, very powerful tandem. Doom can take someone out of the fight immediately. And then, of course, Puck. So they're going to be able to be a little more cavalier in how they engage, and it's a much more forgiving lineup for Alliance as well.
Yeah, I think it's easy to break it down into that. Alliance has lots of sustained damage throughout a team fight. They can constantly keep outputting it, whereas Team Tinkerino has, like, burst. It's just like, bam, Brain Sap, hit him with the Centaur, Double Edge, Arrow, like just burst him down. But if you get core items up onto Alliance's team, like a mech up onto Doom or things like that, or you can draw out this fights, Team Tinkerino's not going to stand a chance. And to just build on the point of the Centaur, I think Centaur is extremely good right now. He's starting to get picked up a lot more, but I think specifically on Radiant, it's much stronger. So you already have that working against you. Centaur on Dire it's very easy to zone him out. But like I mentioned, they've a number of ways to make that Stampede useless across the map. The Puck Coil, #1. Like it's so good against Stampede because you want people to break the coil. It stuns them and does extra damage. And then the Void, you can't get away from the Chrono. So I'm very curious about the Centaur pick. And I'm wondering with their lineup right now, too, what they're going to have as core and what they're going to have as support. If it's going to be like a Centaur. Because they already have the Furion. So is it going to be like farming Furion? Is it going to be farming Centaur? Is it going to be Furion mid? I've seen Quickfoot go mid with Furion several times. So this last pick is going to tell a lot.
Yeah, Furion mid, I think, is actually really, really strong if you're in a situation where it's favorable. I mean, he's obviously very easy to gank. He has very little mobility. He has TP, of course, but, you know, even with Sprout to try and lock you in, if they're coming at you early, you're not going to have enough points for that to be reliable. But Alliance will go ahead and complete their lineup with a Vengeful Spirit. So in terms of how they want to run this as well, a lot of flex in how they can approach this. Venge and Skywrath, two heroes that work very well going aggressive, but yeah, the Ancient Apparition will round out the lineup for Team Tinker, and that's some more AoE they very desperately needed. But, I mean, this is a team that, even with the Mirana farming, and Sing always plays a phenomenal Mirana. Outside of the Centaur, this is a relatively squishy team. You know, the Bane feels kind of tanky because of the return HP from Brain Sap. Mirana with Leap feels a little bit hard to track down. Same with Prophet, depending on what items he builds. But if they're able to get any kind of a decent Chronosphere with the heroes they have, they're going to be able to silence their whole team and wipe them off the map in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, and the same thing goes this draft as the other two, I feel, where it's like, if Pycat's drafting, he's thinking, I feel like he's just like getting in this one mode of thinking where he's like, okay, perfect, because he picked that AA really quickly, right? So I'm assuming he had that in mind the whole time. Like he didn't even care what the last pick was. He's like, AA is my pick. So his thinking, I'm guessing, is like, you know, we have lots of bursts. We hit them with the Nature's Prophet, or we hit them with an Ice Blast, and then the Prophet ulti just is that much more effective. It sounds all nice and good on paper, but it's another thing from actually executing. And not to mention, they have more problems, I feel, as they approach the mid to late game. I just feel like Alliance has drafted pretty well all 3 games so far, with being able to have good lanes, roaming capability, and then securing late game too. And this is all being done on Radiant too. They don't have easy access to Roshan like Team Tinker has in all 3 games so far.
It looks like they're going to have Bulldogs farming the safe lane down in bottom. Loda, for the moment, is hanging around mid. We'll see if they're going to end up sending the Puck into the off lane. And then Key and Misery obviously can go wherever they like. Would imagine they'll end up hooking up. Well, I don't know, though. Like, how do you feel about Void as...
"30 seconds to battle."
Are we back?
Yep.
All right, so at least this happened at the beginning of the game, so we're going to hope that that's not going to happen again. I can't imagine what has been causing this. It's been an ongoing problem, but anyway, back to what I was saying about the Void. He's setting up shop down at bottom. We'll see where the supports are going to end up going. Loda is actually hanging out near the jungle with Key and Misery sitting near the Ancients right now.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what he's doing. Maybe he just wants to get a creep and then go top. But, yeah, very interesting stuff. Maybe he feels that he can't get one safely from the opposite jungle. I'm not quite sure, but I mean, there's no other reason for him to be here other than just grabbing a creep and going elsewhere. I will say Alliance have had some pretty favorable minute 0 runes. Last game they had the Invis. Unfortunately, couldn't make anything out of it because of the DC. This game they have a haste, which will not be spotted. So Pycat might be in some trouble here. If he steps up, he walks away, he should be okay.
Yep, Misery running through, trying to get a catch on somebody, but this will be aggressive coming out of Team Tinker, trying to shut down Bulldog, and they're right on top of him. Bulba, 1 point in the Nightmare. They haven't decided to spend it yet. Sing Sing did shoot an arrow. Looks like it must have been off the mark as we were keeping an eye on things in mid, but Misery has made his way up the top, and it looks like it's going to be Key heading that way as well. So they are going to be leaving Bulldog isolated here in bottom, and Loda for the moment looks like yeah, he's going to be jungling.
He's gonna go top now. This is so weird from Alliance. I don't know why he was there.
Yeah.
Because if they were anticipating an aggro Trilon, why wouldn't he just start top and like grab a creep from there or something? This is a lot of wasted time. I guess, you know, Misery will get a couple CS. It'll be good for him. But just very, very strange lane starts coming out from Alliance. It's not the end of the world, but it's just very odd that they would do that.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna stay in jungle. I mean, he didn't start with the quelling, but he did start with Stout Shield and the Ring of Protection, but yeah, looks like Quakefoe now going to be under some pressure of his own. Bulldog currently just level 1, so down at bottom, Tinker doing an excellent job of zoning him off. And do you think this is going to be favorable for Alliance? Do you think maybe they should try to switch this up, or should they leave it as it is and just hope for the best?
This is not very good for Alliance right now. What they need to do is, like, the lane positioning up top, because they got there late and didn't know what to do, is very, very favorable for the Centaur. He's already level 3. He's going to hit 4 soon. Now they're roaming to mid, but they saw their movement just a little bit from that ward, and now you have a 1v1 matchup with an over-leveled Centaur against a Doom in his safe lane. So it's very, very bad, actually, for Alliance right now. They need to make something happen or some lane setups or lane switch-ups, but yeah, this was not smart from them. I don't know exactly what they were thinking.
Yeah, I'm there with you, man. Bulldog is still sitting at 98 overall XP. Bulba's doing a great job coming over to make sure he can't do much with pulls. Yeah, he's not going to get any XP off of that. Once again, EGM was helping him out up at top. Loda, as you said, right in the face of this over-level Centaur, coming up on level 4, just about 1 full level ahead of Loda right now. And Misery and Key making their way up, but I mean, Centaur's just so hard to bring down in this kind of positioning. When the lane equilibrium is this favorable, he's almost impossible to actually try to go on.
And they try to gank mid, but Pycat's doing a good job of scouting out with trees. So if they want to gank him, it has to be a smoke, but they don't have one. 1, that's the key problem, and 2, it's kind of obvious when you do because you're missing. They also have a little bit of vision there, so yeah, these supports. Oh yeah, Bulldog's in a very precarious spot. The arrow to spot him out, but Time Walk is on cooldown for another 14 seconds.
Yep. Pycat comes in, uses Nature's Call, and First Blood. As Bulldog takes a spill under his own tier 1, and absolutely nothing could be done elsewhere on the map. That's the bad part. Only do they give up the death. Maybe a couple of auto attacks on the tower here, but Centaur in pretty safe position. Loda's going to run up, go ahead and use Scorched Earth. Now they're going to try to chase him down with Concussive Shot. We'll see if there's going to be a response. And yep, there will be. 1 coming in. So they force Bulba to TP out, but all told, that's just not all that worrisome. Misery continuing to give a little bit of right-click damage here and there, but Bulldog just now getting towards level 3. He's going to come out, show himself. Tower down, very close to deny range now, but with Pycat there to summon the treants. And the threat of the arrow, yep, there it is, Bulldog. Unable to react in time. Pycat doesn't have enough mana for a Sprout. Now he will be able to go ahead and Time Walk. However, the tier 1 drops for free.
As Pycat's aggressively TPing in, there's the Chilling Touch as well. One more auto attack, he couldn't find it. Misery gets this done on a Pycat. There's a slow, but it's going to hit EGM instead. Do they have enough auto attack damage is the question. I don't know if they do. Oh, Bulldog has a Time Walk in 1 second.
Yep. Ready to time walk, will jump on him. There's an arrow that catches Misery behind him. He just about time walked right into it. EGM comes back forward, going right click for right click with Misery. Pycat still there. Bulldog doing what he can damage-wise, but Key will end up dropping to one last auto attack from Sing Sing. It's 1-3. Pycat could be in trouble. Chessie now makes an appearance. Throws out the orb and the jaunt plus the AoE. Enough to make it 2-3. So kind of sloppy on both sides, but Team Tinker able to come out on top.
Yeah, and they got the tower as well. I talk about this all the time. When you aggro tri-lane, you need to make sure you have the threat of being able to take the tower. When you have a Furion that's in a solo position on the other side of the map, it makes it very, very easy to, like they did. They ganked him, and then they transferred it into a tower push very, very early on at around the 4-minute mark. So Team Tinker, much, much better start this game as opposed to the other two. But I really have to say it's attributable to the weird, wonky lane setup at the beginning coming out from Alliance.
Pycat shows himself. Misery's caught. Quakefa there. Misery with the tango, but Bulba quickly puts an end to that pursuit as the Nightmare, followed with the stomp and the double edge, makes it 4-2. Tinker now doubling up Alliance. This is the kind of start they need, as we both were pretty much, I still remain on the train of Alliance's lineup just being better rounded, or better constructed and more well-rounded. But if they can continue to keep this kind of pressure up, there's just not enough farm on the board. They're going to end up being able to slow these big heroes down before they can really get things in gear.
Yeah, you can have the better lineup. You can have the best 5 heroes in the game, the best perfect draft, but if you put them all mid, like it's not going to work. You have to lane it correctly too. Misery is walking up in very, very aggressive territory.
Yep.
Here comes some TP response.
Let's see. Chessie's there, has coil. Pycat could be in some trouble, will be in some trouble as he's going to be pursued. And if he tries to run, yep, he's going to sprout. Yep. Waning Rift is there. Here comes an arrow. That's going to hit Misery behind that. Pycat's going to be able to get a kill. Behind that, we see more support rushing in. Chessie got the coil up, but ends up dropping it. Pycat still up and standing after Sing Sing threw that arrow. Had to have been, didn't even actually see, he was off the screen, had to have been in the realm of the Tier 1 top connected, and they end up bringing down the puck as Tinker now ready to pressure this Tier 1 top as well. Well played.
Very, very well played. They couldn't really see it, too, because it was nighttime and they were in the little corner to the left, so the arrow hits very, very easily. They're both clumped up right there. They're transferring this now to another tower, and this is just a disaster. A very, very big disaster for Alliance early on. So weird lane setups, and now pretty much because they're dire again and they have Furion, like I mentioned, they can take Roshan anytime they want. These lanes are always going to be pushed out with these early towers coming out.
Looks like Alliance just wants to reset, and that's exactly what they're trying to do.
7-minute blink on Centaur? Oh my god, he was essentially the off lane, even though he wasn't the safe lane, but he was up against what was quote-unquote a tri-lane.
Yep. 2-0-1, his start CS-wise. He's about middle of the pack, but he's right on par with Pycat. In the meantime, Sing Sing, oh nope, doomed. Doomed out of his TP. Here comes an Ancient Apparition ulti. That will connect, and yeah, that's going to get the kill on Skyraz. Sing Sing's going to die here, but not before trading himself at least for the Sky. And Loda was quite low as well, just no one else around to help finish it up. Bulba and Quakefa now smoking into the Radiant jungle. They bypass a double damage rune down at bottom. The target's going to be Bulldog. Bulldog is 7, has enough mana for his Chronosphere and nothing but that. TP in from Pycat, and they're going to jump right in. They've got more than enough damage. The burst that we were talking about during the draft showing itself right there. Brain Sap, Stomp, and Double Edge enough to bring down just about any hero. And Bulldog is having a rough one. Just 28 CS for him right now, and he has died twice to only 1 kill.
They should go Roche right now. Like, they have a double damage up on somebody. They just killed someone bottom. They TP'd in for... This should be a Roche. I don't know why they're not doing it, but I guess they want to just farm for now. Yeah, that's a free Roche, but nonetheless, they have all the map control in the world. There's a nice time Midas there for Pycat. He's 3-1-5. Treads before it as well, but it's still only 8 minutes, so very, very good game from him so far. And I think his positioning in the mid is what really helped them too, because they tried to gank him after the weird lane setup, but he had Treant scouting out above him, to the left of the runes all the time, so they couldn't do so. So nicely played from Pycat this game.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just circled on the map 2 places he had Treants earlier on, in particular right here, just completely denied any kind of real rotation coming down from there, etc. And able to keep himself safe up at top. Loda not so lucky as he's going to be nightmared. Here comes the follow from Quakefa. That Stomp, Double Edge, Brain Sap. enough to bring down even a tanky and relatively farmed Doom that quickly. 10-3, and Tinker is just rolling.
Yeah, they are. Chessie, he coils mid EGM. He also throws an ult bottom. Chessie gets an easy kill in mid. Is that Ice Blast going to hit anything? Doesn't look like it is. So, nice pick-me-up kill there for Chessie. He's trying to run away. Might be successful in doing so. He has Orb and just a couple of mana.
There's going to be the Stampede. Chessie doing what he can to dodge. He jaunts down into the river, and he'll meet up with Misery. There's an arrow shot, and hits him. Coming from the south. Sing Sing jumps into a stun, though. Chessie still alive. Is no, unable. And now Bulldog with an excellent two-man chrono. Sing Sing gonna end up dropping because of the immediate Doom on the Pycat. EGM's there, has Ice Blast at the ready. Behind that, though, Bulba hit with yet another magic missile. Bulldog continuing to chase them down. He's about half health. Bulba very low as well. Pycat will be able to survive this. There's going to be the Ice Blast that catches Misery. Misery's gonna end up dying to this. Yep, ends up shattering in the woods. So well shot and nice patience from EGM, held on to it until we saw the retreat was on. So they end up losing Sing Sing, but once again, a favorable set of trades as they take two in exchange.
Yeah, nice Ice Blast. I thought that Misery was going to try to dodge it, but he didn't even try. Maybe it's just, sometimes that's really hard to dodge when you're in certain positions, and he couldn't do so. Interesting skill build here coming out from EGM too. I see like a different skill build on the Ancient Apparition every single time I see him play. This time he's level 8 and he's 3-1-2. I don't ask me why. I think. Oh, no, he just missed a skill point. So now it's 4-1-2. Just feels that with the extra lockdown they have this game, that the Cold Feet will have a better chance to proc. So, yeah, interesting stuff there. Another smoke coming out from Team Tinker as they just want to keep piling on the aggression.
Down at bottom, Bulldog looks to be the target as he's pinged out. He's going to be up under his own tower. Has a little bit of help behind him in the form of Misery, but they're going to have to react quick. And, yeah, every time he hears that, he's just going to have to start time walking back to base and just towards his fountain, because almost always it's going to be him that they're looking to bring down with these ganks. Just able to hold, being able to hold the void to what they've held him to is pretty remarkable. He's less farmed than EGM's AA right now, and yeah, I mean, he's nowhere near much of anything. He's got his shreds, a stout shield, and a magic stick. That's it.
I don't know why Koikfa ulted right there. It's very obvious that someone's getting ganked if that happens, and since they've already done it several times here to Admiral Bulldog in the bottom lane, and it became kind of obvious. I think his thinking was, I'm going to speed up the Bane so he can get a fast grip, but I think he could just blink stun himself. Taking a look at the overall stuff, it's heavily in favor net worth-wise of Team Tinker, and experience not too bad, but definitely still a good lead, solid lead for Team Tinker.
All right, let's talk about how Tinker's going to close this out. They have an excellent lineup at doing what we've talked about. Hang on, there's going to be another two-man chrono. This is a nice turning point. This is going to be a double kill, perhaps, for Bulldog. And he gets off the Ice Blast, but Skywrath Mage actually took both of those kills from Bulldog. And as low as he is, he should still be fine. Don't think he'll shatter. Close, but no. Able to survive. But yeah, well, assuming that Tinker doesn't continue to give up kills like that, hang on, Coil onto Koikfa in mid. Silenced out, just waiting patiently. Bulba's going to be there. Gets off the Nightmare onto Misery. And here comes Pycat in to try to help. Fiend's Grip onto Chessie as he was way out of position. There's the Doom on the Bulba, though, and now Loda wants to chase him down. Chessie being pursued, will not be able to jump behind that. The fight rages on as we see Koikfa ends up dropping. Now Loda and Key have to run. Sing Sing shoots the arrow, catches Key. And we'll try to right-click him down. Oh, very nice, Sprout. Got them both. Loda going to be hit with the Ice Blast as well, and down he goes. So, yeah, doesn't look like Tinker's going to be giving away much. And this is what I was just getting ready to ask. How do you begin to close this out? I guess winning team fights and taking towers is a nice step, huh?
I guess if you can just hit every single arrow, then you're golden, right?
Yep.
The funny thing is, some of these arrows, like, they're just not even trying. Like, that one, you saw that Loda saw it was coming, so obviously they had vision, because Loda, he ran away. Sometimes this happens where someone's behind you that should get hit by the arrow, and he dodges it, and it catches you off guard, right? And you're like, oh, crap, you dodged it.
Yep.
And I think that's what happened with Skyrest. So, nice arrow there, and there's the Roshan. Little late, but obviously they can do this all they want, and it's going to be really hard for Lions to come back in this simply because of this factor, and because they have the. Whenever you're down and you're facing up against a Furion, it becomes like it's kind of like same thing idea of like facing up against a Wisp when you're down. You just have this global presence so that you can just farm faster with a threat of ganks any given time. So It's going to be very, very hard for Alliance to fight this. They need to take this safely, and they need to take it when their big cooldowns are up.
Yeah, and that's kind of my the one concern I have. Right now, Tinker has played this game very, very well. They've managed to make all that burst damage we had talked about really come to fruition, but they do still have some ground to cover. With their lineup, I mean, Prophet obviously goes late well. Mirana, on the other hand, as farmed as you can get her, she's not always the best pure core carry, especially in the face of a Doom and a Void, who just really get better and better as the game goes on for the most part. In Doom, the ability certainly never falls off either. What do you think is going to be Tinker's approach to trying to close this game out in the next 10 to 15 minutes?
Get some team fighting items. I haven't seen them do it this last couple of games, but they need, like, they should get a mech, they should get a pipe, and it looks like EGM's going to get that scepter, which is obviously a-okay for him. I don't like the AAs that go for these utility builds like Force Staff and mech. I just think that the scepter is way too good to pass up, so he's getting that, and it looks like Koikva's not getting any of those items, so I mean, it's still fine. They're still so far in the lead, but I think that these team fight items would just really seal the deal trying to get high ground.
Bottom tier 2 ends up dropping pretty much uncontested. Pycat bringing it down. He did finish an Orchid in the meantime as well, and they're going to try to force a fight here. Bulldog and company are all hemmed in together. We saw Moonlight Shadow proc. Bulba and EGM going to lead the way and doing what they can to try and get away. Up there's going to be Bulldog caught immediately. Ice Blast is there, and they're going to turn it around, though. Chrono and Bulba blown up immediately. There's a two-man coil that catches EGM and Pycat, and EGM does end up dropping his Chessie and Key peck away at Pycat from the woods. Pycat trying to sprout himself in behind that. We see Koikva actually going to be swapped into a Doom. In the meantime, Pycat did manage to make it away. Sing Sing trying to help clean things up. Will find a kill onto Key as he's cut under his own tier 2. There's the stun onto Sing Sing. No Misery, no mana to follow. And Loda, nothing to follow as well. It ends up being a 3-for-3 exchange. Once again, a highly separated fight that broke into 2 or 3 smaller skirmishes. Ends up breaking about even, although Sing Sing did stay alive, as did Pycat, compared to Chessie and, of course, Bulldog, who both dropped there.
Oh, the Furon was so close to dying. They had a little bit of extra vision because of the Arcane Bolt from the Skywrath. He earned him at the last second. He ticked down, but he was just able to get the TP out with with inhibiting the vision with the Sprout on himself. Very, very close to killing him. I think if they killed him, it would have been an okay, not too bad of a trade for Alliance, but they didn't. So big win there for Team Tinker. Also in Orchids, I don't know if you mentioned this, but yeah, the Orchids is up on the Furion again with 2,000 gold on top of that. So they're just starting to farm out of control. This is a very aggressive TP though by Pycat. I think he's dead.
Yeah, he was silenced a gajillion ways that time. Pretty sure he had 3 silences on him. But Sing Sing trying to do what he can while his brother-in-arms loses his life, pushing on tier 2 mid. And Alliance now forced in this situation, always uncomfortable, especially whenever you have this many heroes who really want items. In order to scale well into the mid game, they have to pretty much run as 5 for the reasons you were talking about earlier. The gank potential is just going to be massive. It's going to be an arrow shot. And gonna miss this time. One of the few Sing Sing has missed all match.
I'm really wondering what Koikva's building with this Staff of Wizardry. My guess is a Yule's, because it's pretty good against underfarm Voids, because even if they do get a Chrono, if you're outside of it, you can just Yule's him, and then he's useless. And I say underfarm because normally you don't want to ever rush a BKB on Void. You need to get these, at first, the Mask of Madness and probably a Maelstrom after that, so you have the threat of being able to kill somebody. So if he has no BKB and someone that has a Yule's, it's very easy to just make him useless. That's my guess. Also, Force Staff isn't very good against Void. It's not very good against Puck. So probably a Yule's here coming out from Centaur.
If you're playing for Tinker, what's your point of urgency? Like, whenever you say, okay, it's 18 minutes in, we obviously have a nice lead, and they do, 7,500 in terms of gold, little less than that for experience, right around 35, 4,500. Is there a point where you go, okay, maybe we let this game too long, and if you're looking ahead and going, okay, by what time should we close this out? 1, what time is that, and 2, what's the game plan?
I think you just fight around the cooldowns of Alliance and use the Aegis appropriately. So you get some core items, you still have the Aegis, take a tower. Once the Aegis expires, you farm up, and you can, and take the next Aegis. Then once you have that Aegis, you go and push a tower and get your next set of items. And then just I would say work around this Aegis is the main issue for Team Tinker. They have the Dire Side, they have access to Roche, very, very easy because of the Furion. So my long answer to that is just work around the Aegis.
You don't think it's a concern, the Doom and the Void, who during that time presumably should be able to farm fairly well?
I don't think the Void is a concern whatsoever. I think he's just way too underfarmed, and they're already getting good items to counter him. Bane's a very, very good counter as well. They also have a gem, so he's going to farm slowly. I would say Doom is a concern. But because that Alliance is running basically only a dual core, Puck's not really much of a core, it's a little bit easier to shut down the Doom. So if Doom, I would say the main focus should be the Doom, making sure if he doesn't get off the Doom, Alliance has no chance winning a fight, I don't think. So if they're able to somehow grip him or stop him from using this Doom, I think Team Tinker's going to have a very easy time in these fights.
I want to see what Pycat's going to grab for his next item. I kind of feel like they really need some right click, and it would help with the Roshan, as you had mentioned, if you went something like a Desolator, just to give them a little bit more sustain in these fights. I mean, Mirana's in good shape, but it's still a Mirana. I mean, sitting on drums and Yasha, she's just not going to be outputting that much pure right click. Didn't even go for a Diffusal Blade, which can often shore that up very quickly for relatively low cost. But yeah, I want to see what Pycat's going to grab, and I really want to see that Tinker doesn't make mistakes. If they end up giving away a fight or two, giving up a bad chrono here or there, losing 2 or 3 heroes, I worry that this lineup of Alliance could really peak coming up 15 minutes from now, and it could end up being Tinker, who just feels like all of that narrow kind of abilities or kind of approach they have to take to their abilities and chaining them together could end up biting them in the butt.
Yeah, the only thing I fear here from Team Tinker is that they don't have really like any front runner. Like, no, he did go for 4 staff on Centaur, by the way. I find that very weird. I think that Yules would have been so much better. Whenever I see like a Void or a Puck in the game, I just think that 4 staff is bad because it's not very effective. You can't 4 staff an ally out of the chrono. Oh, here we go.
And yep, there's going to be the silence. Pycat comes out, and Sprout, beautiful timing as Quakefa's there. Pycat's going to end up dropping and missed all of this, though. And yep, here comes Bulldog to help clean up. This is what I was talking about, giving up this one bad chrono. However, Bulba there with the Fiend's Grip, and Chessie was caught with the arrow. Well played from Sing Sing and Bulba, and now the cat barks at the dog in a fight that looked all but turned. Goes heavily in favor of Tinker. Tinker has Pycat buy back, and he comes back in. There's a Sprout onto Loda. Sing Sing follows with another arrow, and down he goes. That's going to be 5 down in exchange for 4. Pycat had to buy back, but they're going to be able to push and take this tower unopposed.
Yeah, they'll definitely be happy with that, especially if they can get this tower. Puck didn't get off the coil.
Nope.
Pretty big deal. He got arrowed from the side, on the right side, I believe, coming from that direction. That's a huge cooldown that they need. Also, they had the buyback from Loda as well, which would turn into a dieback. And the position of the Venge was very strange. He was like in the left side, but the TP came in the same exact direction from the Furion, so you couldn't really swap him out. It wouldn't have been very effective, so Misery didn't do so. They need to have his position just be, I think, in a different way, but he wasn't expecting that awkward initiation coming from the Furion.
Taking a look at Sing Sing, he is quite a rich man after that fight. 4K gold he's got stashed away, also has a gem as well. And yeah, it's still going to be a little while before he comes fully online and starts feeling like a pure right clicker. But at this point, that was basically the example of what I was worried about. You know, they commit to a fight, they're a little spread out, their abilities are a little too narrow in terms of their options and how they engage. One good Chronosphere, but it didn't matter. Bulba in beautiful position with that Fiend's Grip, and then of course that arrow. Sing Sing has shot arrow and hit arrow all day long. It has made it look easy, and without a doubt, those two responsible for turning that fight that would have otherwise been a pretty damn big win for Alliance.
Yeah, and as Bane gets levels too, like if he gets points up in the Enfeeble, he doesn't even need to Fiend's Grip. He can just throw an Enfeeble on him, and then Void's just going to do piss poor damage. I mean, I guess he will do good magic damage from his time locks if he gets them, but yeah, Void's just been kept down so well this game that he's kind of a non-factor. I mean, he has had very good chronos. I have to give Bulldog that. His chronos have been on point, but that last one, as you mentioned, the little bit of interruption from Bulba, and it wasn't able to get his full effectiveness off. But the main thing was the coil didn't come out, and I think that's the reason why Alliance couldn't really. It was close. They were on the verge. I looked during the midst of that fight too, and I was like, I think the H has expired, which it did. So if they had that coil, it could have been a different fight.
For now, Tinker continues to build, and they're up to the largest lead of the game thus far, hovering right around 12,000 gold and getting into 5-digit territory with experience. Roche is going to be back up and a little under. Well, we'll see. but should be not very long at all. And this is going to be an option they're going to have. As you said, something they can abuse and really just game plan the late game around. And I'll tell you what, this has been about as violent a game as I've casted ever, maybe. We're talking 41 kills have been tallied in 24 minutes. That's a lot of fighting.
Yeah, I mean, global presence will do that for you, especially when Furon has lots of farm. He's been involved in 18 of the 25, so good for him. And ult coming out from the bottom, maybe looking for something. It doesn't look like they can find really many people. If they get an Ice Blast here on Bulldog, this could be a kill. Yep. He's going for a solo one right now, but interesting. He's going to back away.
Little Brave and the Chrono catches him. Big kill if they can get it, and they will. So turn around. Yep, it cost them a Chronosphere, and worst of all, that's now Scepter done on Bulldog. So after this 90-second cooldown completes, they're going to have basically their sphere anytime they want it. And it looks like Tinker wants to take a Roshan in response, but I don't know that they can. This is what I was talking about with the Furion. He went for the Orchid, which is nice damage. He hasn't yet to get up another big damage item, but without him, they're so reliant on him for sustainable physical damage. Now there's going to be a jump and a Doom on the EGM. Lotus going to be caught with the Fiend's Grip, but it doesn't matter. It was interrupted by the Waning Rift, and now re-engaging. Dream, Silence can't do much. There's a TP and a buyback from Bane. He comes in, and Misery ends up taking a spill. Bulldog's going to be hit with the arrow following the Nightmare, and Bulba's buyback being put to very good use. Ends up being 2 down for Alliance, and now, with that buyback, they might be able to consider going back into Roshan. Now, Sing Sing, though, doesn't want to give up. Didn't have... No, it actually wasn't a mana issue. It was a cooldown issue. Only needed 2 more seconds for an arrow, but instead has to watch 1 TP away. Chessie hanging out above Roshan. Sing's going to be the first one to rush in. We'll see if they can get it done.
My pet.
Yep, there's the action coming in from Puck. He spots him out, but it's pretty scary to actually try to go and steal that. Especially when you can constantly have vision with the second spell, the Ice Vortex from EGM. Oh, here comes an aggressive Blinken from Pycat with the Orchids. Chessie should be dead. He's obliterated. Kind of some weird wonky stuff from Chessie. Tried to get away, but it's very difficult to get away from an Orchid's Blink Furon if he has vision of you. So easy kill there, easy Roche here incoming. And I think that Misery, he's played such a great game these last 2 games, but this game, his positioning has just kind of been questionable and suspect. He needs to be a little bit further back, and I think just prioritize the swap rather than trying to get in there for stuns. There's just too much volatility coming out from Team Tinker to run in there and be effective with just 1 little magic missile. It doesn't do much. I think prioritizing the swap on heroes that are getting gone on your team is a little bit more effective than getting in there with those magic missiles. Well, I could be wrong though, but
honestly, it's just so hard for me to imagine. I mean, they're behind now. This is a desperation smoke, make no mistake. But the items have come out so quickly on Sing Sing. You know, he was banking a lot of gold for a while. Now he's got a Manta and a Maelstrom done all at once, and yep, there's the blink onto the Mirana, and that reveals the smoke. Treants coming out. Very good use of the Treants for vision. Just look at them, positioned all through the jungle to make sure that his team stays safe down at bottom. Chessie getting some farm done, and he's got an ultimate orb on the way to what one would imagine is a Hex, but still a long way to go on that. And Alliance has got to find a way to just take fights if they can. But Tinker, as you mentioned, they're just dug in really, really well right now. They're not going to have any problem playing this patiently.
I like the Ags pickup from Bulldog. I think instead of just going for damage from Maelstrom, he figures, hey, I'm more effective in just getting Chronos and getting them off frequently. So I like that decision from him. He absolutely needs a BKB next, though. It sucks because he won't have that much damage, but I think he really needs it. Ice Blast coming out top. They see it a little bit. It's only going to hit Loda, but he should be fine. Pycat, he does have a Maelstrom in his inventory, so I like that decision from him. I think his item selection this game has been perfect. I think it's right on point. I don't think anything of it is incorrect. He can also throw the Mjolnir once he gets it up onto the Centaur, who does have a heart and 2 gold. Bam, there he has it.
Immediate smoke is the hardest purchase. Bulba and Quakefun want to go head hunting. They're going to have help from Sing Sing. They do have the Mirana ulti ready to go when they want it. We already see a sentry down from Alliance, however. And let's see how they want to play it. Chessie, in the meantime, he's bringing up the rear, way far away from the rest of his team. The rest are grouped as 4. Now we're going to have Loda who gets spotted. Blinks away immediately. Koifa blinks ahead as well. Blinks right into the team. Gets off the stomp behind that. We hear the Doom go off. And they're going to be able to catch Koifa at the very, very least. Bulldog still deciding to hold on to his Chronosphere as Koifa was swapped. Now they're going to Chrono and get Sing Sing.
He doesn't have the
patience. Yep. Sing Sing is silenced and brought down behind that. Pycat comes in to get a return kill onto Key as he sprouts him in. And now going to work on Bulldog. Bulldog needs bat tracks. Not going to matter. So they manage to make it a 3-for-3, even though it looked like it was going to be Alliance's ball game. Pycat jumps ahead. There's the Sprout. And the Orchid ready to go in 4 seconds. For now, though, his damage output quite good. And beautiful usage of the trance. Look at that. Blocking him well, and now has a Sprout if he needs it. Has the Orchid. Nope, just going to hang on to them. Pycat putting on a clinic as they handle this Nature's Prophet with this ganking style build. And Tinker takes yet another step forward here in Game 3 to forcing a Game 4.
And he's all the way bottom now. He's only Misery, and he knows that. Easy pick up here for Pycat. So he is just banging on all cylinders this game, really turning it up a notch. And another 3,800 gold for him. Make that 4,100 just to 4,200 as he gets so many last hits from that ulti. Wow, and he still has the Aegis to boot, so fantastically played from him thus far this game. It wasn't the end of the world in that fight until both Loda and Misery died right there. As he blinks in aggressively, he's... Okay, just as we sing his praises, he's going to die here, maybe die a second time.
Yep.
This should be a Chrono. They don't want to take any chance with him blinking out. Yep, and it will be.
No doubt. And Chrono, they actually use Moonlight Shadow there, which doesn't make a ton of sense because
Yeah.
Chrono reveals that. Anyway, the rest of the team still under cover of the Shadow. They're going to move on into the jungle. Not going to find anybody home, though, as the rest of Alliance wisely backs up. But, you know, that's the give and the take, man. Pycat's been playing well. He's been tallying a crazy amount of kills. He's got 9 of them, in fact. 9, 5, and 13 for him. 11 and 4 banner day for Sing Sing. But then again, he is on Mirana. This is, without a doubt, a signature Sing Sing hero, and he shows why almost every time he gets on the Priestess. But, you know, you play that aggressive, it allows you to make plays and blow a game open, but every now and then you're going to overstep your bounds. And Pycat's still down for 50 seconds. They're going to try to go on the Bulldog, but once again, using the Stampede gives it away.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that you initiate with the Stampede just because obviously it has a global sound, but... I mean, they're okay. They're in a fantastic position. I have seen worse throws, though. I've seen throws from bigger leads than this, so... It's all about getting up into the high ground, and they still have actually 1 tier 2 towers left for them. Standing Alliance do, and they still don't have really any real team fight items. I'm talking like mech, pipe, necro book, things that help you push into the actual base. They still don't have that. They just have a lot of like decent farm on all these heroes, but it's still not over yet, man. I mean, they still got to break into the high ground, and Loda is actually the 2nd highest farmed hero in the game, believe it or not.
And the thing is, to look at him, his inventory looks like a yard sale. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of everything. He's got the plate mail. He does have 2,900 gold, so Shiva's, wow, they just got the courier. Didn't see where that took place. Yep, didn't have anything on it, but I guess that was probably Pycat that snagged it. Did you see?
I didn't, no. Trying to look if I can see a corpse somewhere.
There's a way to do it with key presses. I always just forget what it is. But, yep, there we go. Hang on, I got it. Oh, it was actually, yeah, it was Pycat. Killed her right back near the base. If you hit C and then double click on the portrait, I knew that was it. I just didn't know if I had the bindings. Very nice phase shift from Chessie to dodge the Ice Blast, but yeah, still Team Tinker and in command of this game. But I still don't think they're out of the woods yet. They do have a task in front of them. Like you said, they've gone with a lot of these very specific items. In particular, you know, items like the Atos on EGM, etc. They don't have the mech, they don't have the pipe. They have a lot of individual single target clickers and 1 or 2 AoE combinations they can rely on, whereas Alliance can win a fight with just 1 good Chrono.
Atos is interesting for him. It does make him quite tanky. Gives a decent amount of health. A single man Chrono, that can't be good. They got to back away right away.
And we can see Key just going to be blown up from behind. There's a Doom onto Koifa who engaged and got that kill. There's going to be a swap. Bulba's going to be there with the brain sap to get himself back into fighting shape. Loda sprouted in and cleaned up, and Bulldog being kited to death. Not sure what Bulldog was thinking there, without a doubt. A mental mistake. And, you know, the thing is, oh, they're actually going to catch him. They might end up giving away. Nope, Koifa's fine. He's going to catch an Urn Charge on the way, and looks like the challenge of breaking high ground is a challenge no more. Pretty easy when no one's standing on that high ground to stop you.
Yeah, this could very well be GG. Sing uses the leap for extra attack speed for his team. Fort used. This will be an easy double racks that they want. They could honestly even just thrown it if they really wanted to, but probably taking the safer approach. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to get back in this, and I can't really fault Bulldog. Like, he made a mistake, no doubt about it, but you're approaching, you know, take complete risks territory.
Yep.
And he maybe thought he could get 2 at the time, and the second you go in, it happens to everybody, and you just have to take a risk sometime. He played a great game thus far, even despite his tower being pushed early on. It was just weird drafts, like we mentioned at the very beginning. I don't know what Doom was doing. I don't know why they had an aggressive duel lane with both supports. Like, who does that? It was just kind of wonky stuff coming out.
Chessie comes in, gets off a silence. They're going to try to chase him down, but no dice, as they use Moonlight Shadow to extricate themselves after the second set of racks drop. And now they want to re-engage. Koifa came in. Now there's a pretty decent chrono. Are they even going to be able to get it? No. On the mark with the Ice Blast, and Koifa does end up dying and dropping a gem, but it really doesn't matter. Buyback comes out, and it looks like they want to try to close this out immediately. Loda trying to say, there's a swap, not bad from Misery. That'll get them at least one more kill. Another buyback, make that 3. Here comes Pycat. Bulba in the meantime is doomed. He's waiting it out. There's an arrow on the mark against Misery. Right click down for staff, not quite enough. Enough range on him there. Chessie trying to pursue out Sing Sing. Sing Sing leaps in. There's going to be the Hex, and Chessie was Fiend's Grip just in case as Sing Sing makes it back home. And quite thankful to his buddies for keeping him alive there. 42-24, and this will be the third set of racks, and this will be GG. We're going to game 4.
Yep, pretty nice. I would say actually good draft on both sides, but better played by Team Tinker, and definitely MVP this game. Oh, action here as they're trying to give their last fighting hope, but nope, GG's coming out from Alliance. I had to give MVP definitely to Pycat. He had some interesting engagements in the mid game of giving off a couple freebies here and there, but his scouting of the trees behind mid lane and just keeping himself alive from the potential ganks coming out from Alliance is what really put them in a good position for the rest of the game. So well played by Pycat and the rest of his team, and a much better draft this third game.
Could not agree with you more. And this is, this is the Tinker that when you look back at their past matchups in recent history that you'd come to expect. I mean, again, I don't use it disparagingly, just being honest. Alliance kind of made it look easy, game 1 and game 2. And Tinkerino fought back and fought back hard here in game 3 as they extend this series. It's 2-1. Alliance still leads. It is winner go home, single elimination time here on the Game 24 Invitational powered by NVIDIA. Game 4 on the way. Tinker has to win the next 2 in a row to keep their tournament hopes alive, as well as a shot at their slice of that $15,000 prize pool. I'm your host, AC. Thanks for being a part of the broadcast, guys. There we go. Actually hit the wrong button. As we can see here in the studio, not getting too complicated with all of the production, but I really hope you guys have enjoyed the broadcast thus far. It's Trout and myself. Make sure you check us both out on Twitter. Make sure you check out the rest of what's going on with Game 24. It's a 24-hour celebration of PC gaming all around the world. Lots of content outside of just this Dota tournament. But yeah, we got a lot of Dota. 3 best of 5s in a row. This is just the first of those 3. Anyway, we'll be back here in just a moment. Once again, Alliance and Tinker going to battle it out in Game 4. We'll see if Alliance can shut the door, if Tinker can force a Game 5. See you soon.